If you are a tabletop role player, odds are you've tried at least one virtual tabletop, whether that be Roll20 or Tabletop Simulator or one of the many other options. If you are a player, though, of the narrative dice, Star Wars, or Genesys RPG system, then I know of a virtual tabletop that you have to try, and it is called RPGSessions. It is the only VTT made specifically for these systems. Now, I have tried Roll20, which is great for D&D, but for Star Wars, it doesn't feel great, and that's not even looking at the $100 price tag for the Pro subscription that lets you access the Star Wars API. Tabletop Simulator can be pretty great for board games, but in my opinion, it feels really clunky for tabletop role playing. On top of that, every single person has to spend $20 to even use it. I tried a couple of other VTTs in my Star Wars RPG journey, and none of them ever really felt at home until I had tried RPGSessions. In my professional Star Wars RPG opinion, RPGSessions is really the only one that just feels great to use for the narrative dice systems. And the added bonus is that it's free for both the GMs and the PCs. Welcome to Tabletop Empire. My name is Nate. Today I'm going to be showing you everything that you need to use and set up RPGSessions, along with a couple other cool tricks and features that you definitely will not find on any other VTT for Star Wars or Genesys. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is how to actually set up your game table. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your Games tab, click New in the top corner. For your game name, you can say whatever you want, say like how to, and then you'll come down to the game theme and you'll choose whatever your actual theme of your game is. They have everything from the different Star Wars ones to all the different ones in Genesys. Let's just do Edge of the Empire for us to make it easy. And we're going to choose Star Wars Dice for the dice theme. Click Create. And now you have a game table that you can set up. What we're going to do really quickly, though, is we're going to click the settings button at the top. So you should see by default that you are the game master. However, if you ever wanted to keep the table and change game masters, you have the option to do so here. You can rename the game, change all the settings, add or remove force die, add or remove allowing new players, change the destiny point style so you can change it from a couple different picture options for both light side and dark side, which is really nice. You can change the different crit tables, and then we'll get into tokens a little bit later. So next, let's actually get into creating a player character. So you want to go home, go to library, then you want to click new character. Let's make our guy a clone trooper. Let's do CT1924. And we'll call him Trench. Theme, we're playing Edge of the Empire, so we're going to change the theme. All it really does is it changes the way it looks. It's a player character, so we're going to do character type here. However, if you were a GM and you're trying to set up like an NPC, whether it be a minion, rival, or nemesis class, here is where you would change that information, and everything else inside of the character creator is the same. With the exception of some small changes, such as minion class enemies don't have skills in the normal way that everybody else does, but the functionality works exactly the same. Star Wars dice, no force rating. We are going to use add the force dice because rolling for destiny tokens and stuff can be useful. And I typically just like to have them in the Star Wars game. You want to keep automations on. Show desire, fear, strength, and flaw is if you want to do more of the Genesys style of motivations, but otherwise you can turn it off. And it's Edge of the Empire, so we're going to do obligation and then create. And so now we have this character sheet. What you can actually do is if you want to change the picture of your character sheet, you can click this pencil and then add a image URL here for whatever the profile picture you want to be. I like to use this site like Imgur, which makes it really easy to have a link that never changes. However, what you can do is you can go to Google Images, Google whatever kind of character you want, and then copy the image URL and paste it here. If you put the link in and it looks broken, what you might have to do is go to the file type in the URL and then delete everything after it. So here we have .png, and what we're going to do is we're going to delete everything behind it. And there you go, that should fix it. Here you can also add species, the career, let's say our guy is now a smuggler pilot. And for now, we'll just go ahead and click save. So what you can do now is you can set their soak, you can change their skills to whatever you need it to be. Then you come down here to the pencil and you'll add ranks. So you could do like 3, 2, 1, 4, 5. I mean, obviously this isn't like character creation, but let's say you need to change it. So then you would click on just whichever one you want it to be. And you'll come up here and click save. And you should see it'll have all the calculations here for you. And then for something like weapons, you can add a new weapon, give it a name, set the skill, set the damage, set the crit, set the range. You can set like the hard points, cost, and encumbrance and stuff here. I don't remember these exact numbers for those off the top of my head. For weapon qualities, this is how you get it to show up when you actually use the weapon in the roller. So if we can do text and do stun setting, create. So now whenever we roll, and I'll show this later and you'll see it, whenever we roll for this weapon, it'll show stun setting. You can also add like another quality, for example. Let's say there's an upgrade that gives it like a vicious 2. So now stun setting and a vicious 2 will show up whenever you roll for this weapon. You can also use this add quality button to do really neat things, such as weapon. Let's say you have an attachment that gives you advantage every time you use the weapon. You can come to this weapon customization, click advantage, and name it whatever attachment you have here. Create or save. So all the information saves. And now you can see whenever you roll for the weapon, that advantage is automatically there. Playing with these qualities are really, really nice because it just helps with the whole automation of the system. You don't have to like track certain things every single time you do it. I'm going to show you another use of this also in a minute. Here's where you can track out your available XP, total XP, money, and encumbrance. Encumbrance can also be automated. So you can set like your encumbrance threshold to 5. Current is 0, and I had to refresh the page, but you can see the encumbrance from the blaster pistol is now showing up automatically, and I can hover over it and see where this encumbrance is coming from. You can then go into equipment and gear, and let's say you add like a backpack. So then you could go to qualities, attribute, and then go to encumbrance threshold, +4, just call this backpack. So it appears in the tooltip easier. And now when you go up to your encumbrance, you can see that now the threshold has once again been changed. Let's say we add armor, and let's do padded clothing, soak 2, save. Now we can go up to our soak up top, and it's automatically adding it to our soak up there. So if you ever make changes to your armor, it can automatically change your values up top. If we were to add defense to that armor, then it would show up in your defense as well. Really, really nifty and helpful. Okay, so for talent trees, I'm going to show you guys how this works real quick. So you get plus to a talent group. We're going to click tree. If it's Genesys, you'll do pyramid, but if it's Star Wars, you'll do tree. Create pencil, and now you can do smuggler pilot. Now, unfortunately, you can't actually import all of these. You do have to type all of these by hand. You're going to pretty much have to do that anywhere anyways. But the main reason is obviously copyright related thing. What you can do is you can click these paths as your tree sees fit. So that way you don't have to look at your specialization tree every single time that you go to upgrade stuff. If you're using something like a force power, you can actually click join. So that way these group together and it actually will look like it does on your paper. Now, one thing that's also really cool is if you come in here and let's say you have a talent, my brain can't remember the name off the top of my head, but let's say the talent that gives you a boost die to every vigilance check. So then you can go to skill, vigilance, and we'll call this whatever the talent name was as well. You do not want to do ranks. So let's say you have 1 rank bought into vigilance, the skill. If you set this to 1, then it's going to add +1 to the rank of vigilance. So then you'd have 2 ranks of vigilance. Whereas if you need something like success, you can add a success. If you need something like a boost die, you can add a boost die. If you need to remove setback, you can remove setback. And so then let's say the talent removes the setback for vigilance checks. So we're going to click create, and it's marked as purchased. And you can type in the description and all that stuff. But now every time we roll vigilance, it'll automatically remove a setback dice for us, which again is very helpful. There's also a little area at the bottom for notes, which is really nice, as well as like character details like your background and motivation related things, which I'm not going to show because it's super self-explanatory. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our game table. I feel like the character's set up enough for now. GMs. You want to get your players to sign up to RPGSessions.com and go through that process of creating their character sheet in RPG Sessions. At that point, you want to copy the link using this green button in the top corner. It automatically copies it to your clipboard, paste it, and send it to your players. They will join the table, and then they will see what I'm seeing right now, this screen. They will click Add Character or Vehicle, and they'll go down and then add the character. And they can either clone and add or add. And pretty much what that means is that it creates a separate copy of that character. So if you were ever to use an NPC again, like a minion group, you might not want to alter the actual minion group that you created, but to create a separate version of it. So that way it doesn't affect the base one every time. But for PCs, I typically just do add because I don't use the same PC in multiple games personally. So now you can see that Trench is in our game table. And so what will happen is your players will add, and then what will happen is your players will all add their characters to the game. And now you can start playing. So when the first thing you'll do, as always, when you get into a Star Wars or Genesys game, is you will set your Destiny tokens, which you can do up here in the top corner. If you're rolling for it, you can just click this dice and it'll automatically roll and set the Destiny tokens. You can click it to change it from light to dark, or you can click the minus to remove them. If you're playing in Genesys, and let's say there's 4 PCs and 1 GM, you can one for each person, and then the dark side for the GM. Super easy to set up. It makes it really easy when you have like 5 people rolling for Star Wars, and they just go boom, 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 boom. So now players, whenever they want to roll a skill, let's say Trench over here, he has to do this vigilance check that we mentioned earlier. You say, hey, let's do a vigilance check and add a setback dice and make it average. So you'll click on the dice itself. Again, you'll click on the dice for the skill, and then you can click average, and then a setback, and then roll as your character. And you can see that it'll do all the automatic calculations and everything for you. That setback is automatically removed, which is really nice. Let's say that Trench gets a critical injury. What you can do is you can scroll down to your critical injury area and click roll crit for character name. And it'll automatically pop up with the roll, the severity, and the result of what it actually does. Now, let's say that I already have a critical injury and I get hit with another critical injury and I click roll crit again, it automatically is going to add that plus 10 to the roll. Now, let's say I get hit with another critical injury with vicious 2. Then I would click for the vicious 2 plus 20. And now, if I roll, it's going to have another plus 20 baked in already from the critical injuries. So you never need to add plus 10 because of your critical injuries you already have. It automatically will calculate it for you. You only ever want to do plus or minus buttons if you have something like a vicious rating or a double crit or the durable talent, which will reduce critical injury ratings. So if we roll here, this is going to be plus 40. There we go. We got 100. What you can also do with critical injuries, which is really nice, is let's pretend this crippled one is the one where you lose a limb. You can actually say healed, so that way you can see the effect that it might have if it's a critical injury that has an ongoing consequence, but it may not be an active critical injury that's affecting you in your rolls. You can just mark it as healed so you can see it without it actually affecting your crit rolls. Let's say I have to do a vigilance check and everybody roll vigilance for initiative, but add a setback because it's dark. So because it's initiative, I can click this, add the setback because it's dark. I can check mark this add to initiative button and then roll. And so 4 success, 1 advantage. And then PC number 2, right? You can click, setback, add to initiative, roll. Let's add a character. So let's say there's a character you already created in your library. Let's say a rebel fight. Let's say they're fighting a rebel fighter for whatever reason. We're going to clone and add. Let's say it's a minion group of 3 minions. So set the minion count, click create, and now this rebel fighter is going to vigilance, setback, add to initiative. And so now you can see it automatically adds that NPC in the proper slot up top, which is really, really nice. So then let's say that's the only enemy. So you do PC, you can click the arrow to keep track of whose turn it is. And it also keeps track of how many rounds you've had in the combat. And when you're done, you can click here to either restart the initiative back to round 1 or completely clear out the initiative. Now, I'm going to show you the weapons system that's in this game, which is really nice. So let's go do Trench. Let's go to that blaster rifle that we were using. Let's say he's going to attack that rebel fighter. GMs, when you have enemies in combat, you want to make sure that you set them to visible to players, which is nice. GMs, you can hide your enemies from your players so they can't see it. So, but you want to make it visible when you want them to actually fight it. And you can click known. And now you'll see it pop up here that it's visible to the players and they can see it. What's also going to happen is when they go to attack, they can then choose to target it at, let's say, medium range, build pool. So it'll automatically, the ability dice the average difficulty from it being medium range being auto-calculated, and then the advantage from that attachment we added earlier, and then we can roll. 0 success, 2 advantages. But now we can see here it shows us the damage dealt, damage of the actual weapon itself, crit rating, as well as the qualities that we set earlier. Let's try it again real quick, and let's say short range, build pool, and we're going to roll. So this time it was a hit. So now you can see that it's showing the calculated damage is 12 because 3 successes plus the 9 base damage is 12. Don't hit the crit rating of 3 because we only have 2 advantages. Now let's try one more time, and I'm going to do something stupid just to like show how it works. Let's say there's 6 advantages added just to show you what happens when you roll enough advantages to crit. So when you actually activate the crit, it'll glow blue for you. Now it doesn't automatically apply that damage to the rebel fighters. So GMs, you're gonna have to come in and be like, okay, well, it's 11 damage for soak, that's 7 damage, 6, 7. And now what you can see is that it's automatically reducing the minion count for you. And if you come down here, it's also going to reduce the skills depending on how many minions are left. So you never actually have to click this plus or minus button after you set up the minions. It's just you just keep pushing the plus button to wounds, and it'll automatically be counting. To kill this minion group, you need 16 wounds, right? So then when you hit that 16, the health bar then cracks, letting you know as the GM that the minion group is indeed dead. Let's say, for example, that this was a nemesis and they had an adversary rating of 2. When the PC targets that nemesis with the adversary rating of 2, the dice pool roller, when you target the nemesis, will automatically calculate the adversary for you. So you as a GM, you don't have to keep track of it. Players, if you have defense and the GM's using this tracker tool and he targets you with an NPC, it'll automatically add those setback dice from your defense because it's all automated and it's super just really helpful. Now, I kind of showed you guys how qualities and modifiers worked a bit. I'm going to show you a really neat trick that me and my players use. So if you go to the pencil button, modifier, add quality, go to attribute. Next, we're going to call this obligation triggered. So we're going to say strain threshold -1 create. So now if your obligation is triggered, automatically reduce your strain threshold, which is nice. You don't have to like touch this number every time that it happens. You can just come up here to this modifier and click it or unclick it and then click save. And if you want to change it, you can come up here, uncheck it, and save. Another neat feature that you may not know about is, let's say this roll that I rolled with Trench that I had 6 advantages and I must spend 3 of them to crit, but I have 3 advantages left. I want to pass 2 boost die to a specific player. So I can go to the dice roller, click 2 boost die, go down here to the pass, hit the arrow. And let's say this Felicia Hammond character, I can pass to Felicia Hammond. So now when Felicia opens up her dice roller whenever it's her turn, and she will see this past dice. Oh, I get to add these to my roll. You just click add all, add it to the roll, and roll. Bada bing, bada boom. It's as simple as that. No more forgetting your past setback or boost dice in the middle of combat. This site is free to use for both PCs and GMs. However, there are a couple pro features which I want to go over with you. None of these pro features are absolutely required to use the app. They're kind of just like the cherry on top of the already amazing ice cream sundae. And for these amazing cherry on top benefits, only one player in the game table needs to actually have the pro subscription in order to actually use it. So real quick, I'm going to go over what you can do for free. With a free account, you can create an unlimited number of player characters, create an unlimited number of player vehicles, create an unlimited number of adversaries and NPCs, play on your desktop, tablet, or mobile device, import 6 characters a month from various websites such as the Genesys Emporium or Stugoff or Ogdude. You can play in or create an unlimited number of game tables or Discord bots and servers. You can customize settings, themes, and dice and language. There's a couple things here I didn't touch on. I'm going to touch on those real quickly. The first thing is creating a vehicle. So to create a vehicle, you go back to library, click new, and you will click vehicle. Then you can come here and you can name it whatever you want. Let's say the Slave 1. Edge of the Empire, Star Wars dice. I don't know the stats for this ship off the top of my head, but you can change it from either like all 4 sides for shields, or if it's a ship that only has the front and back, then you can change it to reflect that. And it works the exact same way as a character sheet, just with the ship layout. You can even do the same thing with adding an image URL, model, manufacturer, engine, sensors, crew, passengers, consumables, notable features. If you ever need to make any changes to a ship or a character sheet, all you have to do is click customize sheet and you can change all those setup settings again. So the other free feature that I didn't quite touch on yet is the Discord bot. So what you can do is from the games tab, and I think the library tab as well, you go down to this footer and you should see bot help. And that should take you to this page where you can then click add me to your server, where it'll then proceed to launch Discord, and you can select, as with any Discord bot, which server you want to add it to. Okay, so once you get your bot into the server, the first thing you want to do is slash game pair. The table, you're going to choose the table name. So we're going to do how to, and then do you want it set only to the current channel that you're in, the current text chat? If so, you'll do true. If you want it to be for the whole server, you'll do false. Okay, so now it's successfully been paired. Now we're going to do slash dice roll, and we can do like YYG for yellow, yellow, green, and then P and P for two purples. And then roll. And as you can tell, just like in the app, it'll automatically calculate everything for you and roll it for you. So if you prefer to have everything just in Discord, it has the option for that. That being said, I pretty much exclusively use the web app. I'm not as familiar with the Discord bot, but I know it's very extensive and there's a lot of really cool features. If you want to read all about how to actually use the Discord bot, you can go back to that RPGSessions bot help button at the bottom of the page, which leads you back to this page where you set up and added it to your server. You can go to like command help, and there's a whole bunch of guides and documentation for how to use the RPGSessions Discord bot if you have any questions. That said, I just wanted to let you know that that feature exists and generally show you, the basics of how it works. But again, I don't have as much experience with the Discord bot because I just don't really use it. So I don't want to like show you something wrong. So I'm gonna leave it there. Those are all the free. That's everything you can do in this app for free, which, as you can tell, is quite extensive what you can do. So if you want some of the pro features, it is through their Patreon, patreon.com/RPGSessions. So for $1 a month, you get 12 imports per month instead of 6, which is the free amount. For Explorer, for $2, you get 24 imports per month, as well as you get access to a couple private things on Discord and the 2 to 4 weeks early access to features via their development version of their website. For $5 a month, you get 72 imports per month, as well as you get nested folders. So pretty much that just means folders inside of folders. If I were to go to my library tab, everybody has access to a first level of folders, right? But for example, if I go to my enemies, I have another folder inside of this folder. So, and that's because of having the adventurer tier. And then for $10 a month, you get unlimited imports per month. You get double the amount of image upload storage. You get a further exclusive community. And I didn't mention this, but the $5 and $10 tiers both have access to the map editor, which is really nice. So as you can see, none of these features are essential by any means. And all these pro features are ones that simply just cost RPGSessions money to maintain. Let's show you that map editor real quick. You might have noticed here in the game table that we have the map editor tab. Now this feature is still very new as of this recording, and there may be a couple kinks here and there to work through, but you pretty much, it's a whiteboard. And you can adjust the grid scale, you can adjust the grid shapes, you can even have rotated hexagons, which is nice. You can change the grid color. You can do all sorts of things. You can also have no grid whatsoever, which is nice. You can import your uploaded assets. So let's say at the table we have this clone trooper guy, right? So now he's here, and actually you can see his health bar and strain bar underneath. You can add maps, you can add tokens, you can add a bunch of content that they already actually have. So, for example, like an ensnared tab if the character is ensnared. And so that was a complete overview of RPGSessions. From there, I think you should be able to get out anything else you need out of it by just playing around with it in Discovery. I hope this was super helpful. Go sign up today for free at rpgsessions.com. Try it today. You can click the link down in the description below. This video is sponsored by RPGSessions. However, all the opinions are my own. They're not telling me, I'm not required to say or not say anything. All the opinions I've shared are my actual opinions. And I loved this app, and it just so happens to be later after discovering it, they discovered me, and we have a nice business relationship now. Plus, the guys that run it are all super, super nice guys. Jeff is in our actual play Dark Underworld. He is one of the 3 guys that runs RPGSessions. So if this app looks like it's fun, please go check it out. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and if I know the answer and I can help, I will do my best to answer every single question. If you enjoyed this video and it was helpful, blast a like. Consider subscribing for more Star Wars RPG content. As always, a huge thanks to our Patreon supporters. You guys are super, super helpful and allow the channel to continue to grow and thrive. I will see you guys in the next video, but until then, and as always, may the Force be with you.